Good afternoon, everyone. So we're back with another episode of She Renovates, and I have to warn you that today's episode is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. And that's why I've brought along my favourite prankster from the School of Renovating team, James, because we've been doing a bit of riffing on this topic, and we decided to bring it to your attention.
Hi,
So,
Bernadette. Glad to be
welcome,
here.
James.
A fellow prankster.
So, yes, we consider ourselves to be very well qualified to discuss the interior design trends that we think are no longer, what's the word? Well, we think they'd be better left behind.
So this is an opinion festival, is it?
It is. It's an opinion festival. But, when we're talking about renovating for profit, there are nothing is ever set in stone. So you never say never, but let's get into it. And, hi, Karen. Lovely to see you. Trending. Karen's putting words into my mouth because I can't find them. Okay, because I was just thinking about this, when you're sort of searching on Pinterest and Instagram, when you're planning out a new reno and you keep seeing the same old coming up. And what goes through my mind is, oh my gosh, surely we can move on from this. And the first one is herringbone tiles. So tiles that are laid in a herringbone pattern. And I should mention that I have been guilty of just about everything that I'm going to talk about today. So I'm not really...
Doesn't that give you the right to comment?
Oh, does it?
Okay. You've experienced it and you've been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think before we go into the deep details of herringbone tiles, but you mentioned renovating for profit, and so we do have to have our fingers on the pulse of the market. Absolutely. Rather than having a formula that becomes same old, and the formula may not keep up to date.
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, depending on where you're renovating, often your market is not that sophisticated. It depends where you're working. But I do think if you want to maintain an edge, then you do need to be reasonably sort of aware of what is going on in the design arena and what is considered good design and trending. Although trending, following trends can often take you down a long and lonely road when it goes out of trend and you're stuck with your, beautiful, I don't know, red kitchen or whatever it is. And it's, that ship has sailed many years ago. But yeah.
Okay, so let's hear it for herringbone tiles. Why are they no longer?
I just think they're overly fussy, and and as I mentioned, yes, I have done the herringbone pattern, and I just think they're an expensive way of laying tiles, and they are very maximalist, I think is the word. And I think we're all moving towards a more minimal aesthetic. What do you think?
Well, I guess one of the things we don't want to do is get our trades offside. So if you've got a very fancy pattern that you want your tiler to lay, then you're going to get grumbling. And, rather than like being with them and, the whole process is easy. So I guess on the other side of herringbone is simple and clean and a refreshing look, which is ultimately timeless.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a lot of mosaics on the market at the moment, and they are very popular. in some ways easier to lay, although they still need a really good tiler, so you don't see the joins in the sheets
Yeah.
in your laid tiles. But yeah, I think
I've been
that.
through my mosaic phase.
Have you?
I have, yes, in Melbourne and in Phoenix, Arizona, in the US. And I did a band, like a sort of a 30-centimeter band around above the floor height, and then a different color above that. I mean, I still love a good mosaic, even though I don't like complicated designs. But then again, if you're the cleaner, they can be a drag to clean.
Exactly. So yes, the long and the short of it is definitely a more simple pattern, and you know, I've had a love affair with Kit Kat tiles for quite some time. I just, and I really even love them just in white. I just think that they're a nice texture without being a fussy pattern.
Super.
So the next one, we're still on bathrooms. The old grey and white bathroom, you know, the white subway with the grey concrete looking large format tile on the floor. I reckon that trend's been in for, you know, at least 5 or 6 years. And I just think it lacks imagination. It's got no personality.
So you've been a renovator for 30 to 40 years, Bernadette. You've obviously seen plenty of trends come and go. I mean, I'm taking a bit of a second take here because I'm just about to do a bathroom renovation, and guess what color tiles are on the short list?
Let me
Grey.
guess, mission brown? Oh, black. Okay.
No, well, black has been. You've already said no, black, James, because we have to think about my resale value. But I do actually like dark, like rich colors. Even the wall color behind you, I think, is very attractive.
Absolutely.
And so I guess it can depend on, the difference. Here's Karen saying yes over the grey and white too. That so. I guess what's the option? What am I looking at now for if it's not grey?
I think dark tiles. I think dark tiles can be quite striking, but you need to be careful where you use them. Black, particularly on the floor, is a maintenance issue because if you get soap scum and you know powders and things, they're very hard to keep clean. I think there's a lot of, you know, like natural stones, you know, terracotta, terrazzo. Yeah, there's a multitude of choices. And particularly with wall tiles, subways are still really popular. And funnily enough, I still like subways. I prefer them not to be laid stretcher bond, which is where they're offset. I prefer them to be stacked, but I think that they are still quite a good choice. I'm just checking the comments.
I like what you mentioned about the natural stone, and like even in high quality, dare I say, fake porcelain, which is I have to ask you for your opinion about that. But you did give me a semi nod of approval for the lobby area of my apartment block, which is a natural stone look.
Yeah, I do like to. Yes, I think there are some really good fakes that you can that you know will give you the look without the cost, and more importantly without the maintenance issue. But I have to say I do still really like particularly terrazzo to be the real terrazzo. And I know there's a one we've used from, oh, who are they? Gosh, Fibonacci. They have some amazing terrazzo tiles. And I always think that, you know, a bathroom floor in particular is quite small. So you can sort of often stretch your budget to be able to do the floor on a really luxurious material.
Yeah, I mean, doing my budget, it really only comes out as a few $100 difference between like a medium price tile and a higher quality. I know but when you go down to the low price tiles, which before, if you look from a distance, the sort of plain colors, um, they really are so boring.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
to have some character really does make a difference. So, all
yeah.
right, I've got some good ideas. Thank you.
Karen's asking to the ceiling or only half. Personally, I like them to the ceiling, although just recently we have done a couple of projects where we haven't gone fully to the ceiling. I know in Simi Street we're going to 2.4 metres and then we've got a dado line around. And also in Darley Street, what we did was paint the ceiling and the walls down to the tiles black. And then we've got these white Kit Kats. So that one's just about finished. So you'll be able to get to see it soon. Hallelujah.
What did you say before? Dado line? I've never heard
Yeah.
of that. What's it
So,
called?
it's like a picture rail around,
Okay,
and
right.
it's around at the 2.4 metre mark because it's got height 3 metre ceiling. So you've got 600 of wall above. And yeah, and that seems to work. I really don't like when the tiles just come halfway up the wall. I think you
Yeah.
better not to tile the wall if if that's what you're going to
Yeah.
do. Looks a
Well,
bit
my
odd.
my 1980s bathroom has tiles all the way up. I think it was
Mm,
probably high quality when it was done.
mm.
So I'm going to go tiles all the way up, and I'm going to remove the cornice. So it's a square set ceiling.
Nice. Yeah. It's a good idea to remove the cornice in the bathroom because you worry about the ceiling being up and down, but really when you're looking from the floor, which is much lower, you really can't pick the wavy ceiling. But of course, you can only take the cornice off if the ceiling goes right out to the wall. Otherwise, you've got a major
Yeah.
patching exercise. So thank you who said it was so nice to see us. It's StreamYard's not showing your name, so I can't respond to you by name. And Karen's asking, have we used the new sheets of stone which are bendy? And I haven't, but I have seen them being used. I've also seen people peeling the stones off around the edge to lay them so that they make them look more random and you're not seeing the join in the sheet, which I think is a bit of a labour of love.
I think some of those fancy bathroom vignettes in Caroma have that bendy stone surface. Remember those
Ah,
sort of curved bathrooms, like curved
yeah.
shower walls? They were quite attractive.
I
Um,
think what Karen's thinking about, it's like pebbles on a, how they
oh,
have
okay.
like
Yeah, yeah,
pebbles?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep. Right.
They're on a sheet and the sheet bends, but yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. So let's venture into controversial territory. What about Hamptons and wainscoting?
What about it, Bernadette? I kind of hear a drum roll for for the wrath of the Willow Queen.
Like I think that Hamptons has its place, and like this is a bit tongue in cheek, but I don't know. I feel like it is a little bit time to move on. It's for me the traditional. Like I think the Three Birds do a great job of sort of a play on the Hamptons, but much more. I think chilled and yeah, not and different. But the traditional Hamptons, I think, is just too traditional.
I think it's too fussy.
Yeah,
It's sort of adornment for the sake of adornment and for the sake of a look.
yeah,
Whereas, I mean, personally, I'm more of a minimalist, and so even that's why I'll be spending the money to remove cornices, just to get a
yeah,
cleaner look. And
yeah,
Hamptons to me seems too fussy, like it's
yeah,
overdone as a look.
yeah. And I know, Chris, it's Chris Boundy. So Karen Egan says she just panelled a lounge room to cover up all the old 80-year-old wavy plaster. Yeah, so as I said, there are reasons for doing things, and sometimes it's a means to an end. I see a lot of people on TikTok doing wall paneling, wainscoting, and I think there would have been a time when I would have loved to have done it, but I just feel like now it's just been so overdone. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think nothing needs to be overdone now. And
No.
even with the plant, the natural plant that you have behind you, I mean, something as simple as real plants, and some dramatic, authentic artwork can make all the difference on a simple background. It doesn't
Yeah.
need all that stuff.
No.
And
And
it also it's gonna make your renovation more economical. I mean, we did start this off with renovating for profit as a kind of a
yeah,
context for this.
yeah. Yes. And interesting, the pictures behind me, and for those who are listening to the audio version, this will be posted on YouTube and you can come over and have a look. So we've got this little thing that we do at the moment when we do a reno, and we take some photos of the local area and pick out some significant images and frame them. And so that's what you can see behind me. That's actually the QVB. And yes, just coupled with a natural plant or palm is it's quite a good, fresh, authentic look. So fake plants definitely out. Would
Okay,
we
that's
agree?
clear. Yes, no fake plants. Well, I'll ask you then, what about small accessory fake plants in the bathroom? Are they allowed or not?
I did say never, James. And I may have a few fake plants around the house, but my preference is for real ones.
Yeah. So how one I've seen coming back is the timeless rubber plant. Is that
I
back
know.
on your list? Because it
Yes.
was really, really big, and then it was definitely out, and now I see it coming back to compete um with the what's the name of the one? The
Fiddle
fiddle
leaf
leaf.
fig.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
giving the fiddle leaf a run for its money.
Yeah. I like both. I own both. And yeah, the fiddle leaf figs had a fair innings, but I think there's still a bit of life left in it. I think anything that is natural and green is an asset to a living space.
I think there's a styling trend that both of those plants fit, and that is big, like just bold and big. And I really love that myself. Like if I'm styling, I'm big into styling events, and I call them a theme park, creating a theme park. So I think the best one is not necessarily done by me, but they're where people go over the top with
Yeah.
big bold things. It doesn't have to be lots, but
Yeah.
when you do it bold.
I completely agree, particularly with palms and yes. What's next on the hit list, James?
Okay, we've moved on from fake plants. How about lighting, Bernadette?
Yes, downlights. So I used to think, or I used to say that halogens were the blowflies of the lighting industry, but now it's downlights. In fact, I went to a lighting workshop at the home show run by Mint Lighting. And this, I can't remember her name, but she was really clever. And she was talking about, you know, creating a lighting plan and the impact that you can have on a home by really clever lighting. And she actually said they refer to downlights as pancakes and they hate them. And I have to agree. However, there are still the odd there is still the odd occasion where a downlight is going to be the only thing that is going to work, particularly like in wet areas where you may have you know a lower ceiling height and you may not want to have pendants, or often a wall light will look quite nice, but yeah, so they have their place, but not everywhere like electricians tend to want to do.
Yeah, I think that then for me, I mean, I personally have always hated lights. They've never been on my list. But the thing that they do serve is they can provide ambience for an atmosphere. So they must be paired with dimmers. Full light down lights are a disaster. And for me personally, we may differ on this, but I like the entire house to be warm Kelvin. Like I'm not into cool lighting anywhere, maybe over the stove. I might change my rules there, but in general, and our colleague Liz Gordon, who lived in Scandinavia, she shared this term. I might get the pronunciation wrong, but she described it as hygge, and what that means is the sort of the very comfy, cozy atmosphere, usually done with lighting. And when you're walking down the street, everyone's kind of competing to have the most cozy look, so they have their curtains open. So you're looking in to see that hygge experience, and personally, I love that. I have my timers on my smart lighting, so that at 4 p.m. in winter and 5 p.m. in summer, the lights go on, and they're all that soft, warm lighting. So no down lights.
Oh
The
my
rule.
gosh, James, that is over the top. But
Well,
just
it's
saying.
part of the feeling. I mean, when I come to your place, Bernadette, it's full of atmosphere. So, uh, is this the pot calling the kettle black?
Oh, okay, okay. I think it's Christine Bowney that's saying back on the fake plants that she thinks that we need to be careful with fake plants. But if you have an area that doesn't get a lot of light, they're great, and I completely agree with you, Christine. Even fake lawn, um, there's an application for it where the lighting is low. So back on the warmth of the globe, I really like uh, cool light or daylight in the kitchen and in the bathroom, because I like them to be looking really, really clean. But that's problematic if you've got an open plan kitchen living, because you can't have cool on one side and warm on the other, because it just doesn't work. So yeah,
The
so
other thing you can do is pair them with LED. So like LED strip lights, which can be hidden. I'm personally in favor of hiding them. I never like to see raw bulbs, um, or even like with the raw. I don't like even seeing the lens of the LED strip. I want to hide the light, so you just see the effect of the light, but not the actual light. And
absolutely,
that can give you a lot of flexibility in terms
yeah,
of color and where you want to light.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so much versatility these days. And then when you put that together with smart lighting, that can be controlled for color, temperature, and dimming. I mean, this is so easy now, and it's not expensive.
Absolutely not. No. And LED strip lighting is actually a DIY product.
Yep,
You don't
yep.
even need to have an electrician. It's good if you do, because then you can get it hardwired into your lighting circuit. But there are workarounds if you
Yeah,
just need.
all they really need to do is place a strategic um, GPO as a in the right location, and you plug your LED into that.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to go for the big one and say I am over sliding barn doors.
Ooh,
Yep. I think they've had their day. Um, so we've got a massive one in our house, and it's going with the renovation. And the other thing is, they're not all that practical, I don't think. And like for a long time, I've really loved the look, but I've just got to that point and decided we've had enough of them. It's time to move on.
she said,
Oh, God.
"Good for
Like
you."
I'm an authority. Um,
Well, I'm
re-
going to ask you about that because you have a about doors and gates because I was visiting you recently, and you have a charming dog, Harriet, and so I'm wondering what your brand new design reno solution is going to be for dog-proof doors like gates.
mm. Well, at the moment, it's a baby gate.
Oh no, I think you need to go beyond that.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's a bit hard, James.
Well, you better get your architect's son onto it, I say.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, she's jumped so high that she can almost clear the baby gate anyhow. So let's think about what things we love.
Sure.
And top of the list is mid-century modern.
Hooray.
Hmm.
I love
And
that.
for a long time, I didn't really like it. And I think it's because I had negative connotation. Like my parents had Danish deluxe when I was growing up, and I thought it was pretty ordinary. But as time's gone on, it's grown on me. And I really love the timbers. They're often really warm, like teak and cedar. So, yeah, I
It's a
think that,
very simple, elegant design aesthetic about it too. And
yeah,
some of our most remarkable um, industrial designers, furniture designers in history, um, they came out of that era, and their designs are absolutely timeless.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Mies van der Rohe and some of his furniture, which have been around for 50 years, they're
yeah,
still absolutely top of the range, beautiful and sleek and elegant. So
yeah,
I think one of the interesting things about mid-century modern is that, and I'm testament to this, I have 3 chairs in my home, all of which have been picked up from the street for free.
oh,
So not everyone appreciates the value of them, but keep your eye out, and
yeah,
you can get some really nice pieces.
yeah, awesome. Now, yeah, well, natural stone is another thing that we absolutely love. I know a lot of people worry about looking after it, particularly marble bench tops and so on. But I think that natural stone is always a winner, whether it's your kitchen bench or a feature wall or, yeah. Have you got any natural stone planned for your reno, James?
Well, look, talking to you, I need to have it for kitchen bench top. And this whole controversy over the high silicon um,
Yeah.
of the manufactured stone, it's a serious problem
Yes.
for the people who cut it. Um, it's kind of like the modern asbestos. And so, but as you've informed me, the natural stone is in general very low silicon and without the same risks for
Yeah.
the 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 cutters and the installers.
Yeah. And unfortunately, what I'm finding is buying the sheet of stone is not that much more, but it's the cutting and the installation. It's significantly more than composite stone,
Why is
which
that?
I have no idea because, like, marble is softer. So, if anyone that's listening or watching knows, we would love to hear from you because it's a pretty constant conversation amongst us at the moment. I found a product in Marrickville. This company's pioneered this method, and they make bench tops out of recycled bottles, like Coke bottles, plastic bottles. David said he was specifying it in a couple of jobs, but I don't know that it's going to be durable enough for our project. It's not very expensive. But yeah, I don't really fancy the idea of having plastic benches. I think
I wonder,
they look good.
yeah, I'm a bit wary about that. I wonder about the cost of the trades, if it is like many trades, short supply and high demand, and so it's opportunism
Yeah.
from from the trades point of view, which again, that probably points to how can you build a relationship with your
Yes.
stonemasons? I mean, if you're doing a lot, I guess you could, but if
Yeah.
it's only occasional, then
Yeah.
you're always on the lookout to build a new relationship.
Yeah. Exactly. Karen's asking, are there any parts or brands or types which are okay. And yes, there are low silica products. I am told. So yeah, but I haven't used them yet. One of them is, I think Kathy Medell said it's called Evolve Stone or something like that. So yeah.
Well, the industry's going to have to get all over that, because if they don't, they will be legislated out of existence.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
no
Yeah.
doubt they're going to be
Yeah.
exploring that.
And it's
Stay
a good
tuned.
it's a good thing, because some stonemasons just have no respect for themselves. Like
Yeah.
they will cut and there'll be dust flying everywhere and they won't have a mask or anything on. And so, you know, that's sure to end in tears.
It is. Yeah.
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 So the other thing is, like, this is, I think, pretty obvious, natural timbers, either in floors or joinery, any element of your reno. Personally, I don't like too much timber. I certainly don't like too much warm timber. But yeah, if we're going to have timber, it's good that if it's natural. Same with plants, same with stone. And what else have we got on there?
So
Yes.
what about with the hardwood floors? I mean, I understand if you're doing a plank of hardwood, but what about the composite floors? How many of those are available as like a real timber surface rather than a fake timber surface?
So most of the engineered floors they're a plywood substrate. So technically it's still timber, and they have a timber veneer, 3 or 4 mil timber veneer on top. So you remember that herringbone floor we put in?
Yes, that was beautiful.
Sorry. We put in Darley Street. Well, that was oak, and that was the composition of that. But
so they were actually multi-layered tiles, were they?
So they're boards, and they're made from a base of plywood, or I think they were oak, and then a veneer of real timber on top.
And is Stephen available to do fit out some flooring?
I think he would leave me if I asked him to do a job like that again.
He did an amazing job. I can't wait to walk on it.
No, well, it's not far off, James. We're almost there.
Good.
So the hybrid is just plastic. Hybrid floors, really, there's nothing timber about them. Laminate are like an MDF base, and then they have the equivalent to a photograph of wood grain on top. So the flooring people tell me everyone wants hybrid. I have to say I have used it, but I'm not that in love with it. So yeah.
If you're going to go that direction, I'd rather go to a linoleum, like to go with something real vinyl, like as a look rather than a fake look.
Yeah. I definitely think there's a place for like a laminate in a property that you're going to sell, depending on the price point. But when you're looking at your own home, then yeah, I'd agree with you.
I mentioned to you the other day a huge warehouse renovation I did for a residence for myself in Melbourne, and it was freezing cold. It was like tall ceilings with metal roofs, and I had to do something on the floor. And the only thing I could afford at the time was masonite. And so how I made that work was I chamfered the edges of the masonite boards so that there was like a little V cut to distinguish the joins and kind of brag about the joins. And then randomly I cut the corners off them and I inserted bright colored mosaic tiles. And I finished the whole floor with a tung oil. And over time, it's just got this beautiful burnished leather look. So I'm still proud of that. And when I do a warehouse again, I'm going to revisit that. So that was my budget floor solution.
That's very creative, James. Yeah. Okay, I think we're to the end of the list.
Oh no, we haven't.
Oh,
Curtains, Bernadette.
S-folds. Yes,
S-folds.
we're
I have
loving.
to say, this is the Wonder Women, the She Renovates secret styling solution, and
Not so
I've used
secret,
it.
secret.
Not so secret. I've seen it used so successfully. In fact, I've even had to hang them myself. So they are really beautiful, classic sheer curtains. Do you ever do them with multi layers and more than a
Yes,
sheer?
yes, definitely. I don't actually. I haven't done them with multi-layers, but I have seen them done with multi-layers.
Okay,
So, yeah.
and to paddle or not to paddle?
Well, there's a bit of a compromise, James, because if you puddle, it sort of messes up the S curve,
Yep,
the
yep.
curve. So
So a kiss,
that's very technical of you.
a kiss to the floor. What would
Well,
Christina Reid say?
oh, I don't know. I'll ask her tomorrow. I'm going to check out her project. Oh, so are you?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah. So were you on the last night's tutorial?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so one of our Wonder Women, Jane Lynch, is a very experienced property stylist, and she actually trains property stylists. And she ran a session, and I was told this morning. I didn't see it, but I was told this morning that in a lot of the projects that she was showing, there were no curtains.
Okay.
And she said that's just the developers or the builders that done them have opted not to have curtains, and so they've just gone with that. So I'm really curious to see the replay of that, to see, because I always think curtains really soften a room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an interesting perspective.
Very. Yeah. But meanwhile, other than that, with the bare bones look, S folds are a renovator's friend, right?
They are, yeah,
Yeah.
because there's so many. You can buy them off the shelf, and we've found a few designs that are just really, really nice. Got a nice natural weave, and they bring some texture to the room, but are also still very elegant.
The use of them in the class project in Newcastle, we used them in all three bedrooms and the living room, and we used it on the dining room side of the living room as well. I mean, I thought they came across magnificently.
Yes. In
Yeah,
fact, and like because everything we do on a shoestring budget. So they obviously fitted into that budget. And we should pop some photos into the replay
yeah.
just to show you what we mean.
The other
Um,
thing we did with those windows was where we needed the privacy, we did the narrow Venetians, and whilst we would have chosen timber or a fake timber white, that wasn't available at all the spotlight stores that I was visiting. So we ended up going with a silver, and it was very effective. It worked really well,
yeah.
very inexpensive, but quite very nice behind the shears.
Yeah, because the thing is silver, like you think, oh God, I'd never put silver in a house, but because the curtains were a neutral color,
Yeah,
the silver just blended in behind. Whereas if you had white, it would have really stuck out.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It was fortuitous how that worked out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this replay, what are your pet loves, and also what do you think we should move on from? Because we're part of the buying population, and we'll run our own little survey and just find out what your preferences are in terms of interiors, and collate a little collection of ideas.
And I think also there's a kind of an underlying theme about savvy renovators. We want to save money. We're doing renovation for profit, And many of these ideas help us with those goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me for this episode, James. It's always nice to have some company when I'm technically meant to be going solo. It's much easier to banter than talk to yourself. Thanks to everyone that is watching. And to those of you who are joining us at retreat next week, you are in for a big treat because we're going to have a fun-filled week and lots of inspiration and we'll be sharing lots on social media. So keep your eye out to those who aren't going to be there so we can share a little bit of the magic with you.
Thanks, Bernadette.
Thanks, James. And thank you, Mikey, in the background there.